緩やかな丘を振って駆けてくる馬車迎えに来るの迎えに来るのね誰かが私を連れて行くのね白い花の道へ風のふるさとへ連れて行くのね連れて行くのねYes, come in.
You look as if you've got something to be happy about.
The dresses.
Oh,
Those are my new dresses, right? I know, because tomorrow is Sunday. You made the dresses in secret the last couple of days. Every time you had a free moment, you locked yourself in your room, and then I would hear the sound of the sewing machine.
I wanted it to be a surprise. I was quite convinced you knew nothing about it.
Thank you very much, Marilla.
Come on, tell me, how do you like them? What's wrong, Anne?
I'd convinced myself that I would like them.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. You had to convince yourself. I should have known, shouldn't I? I can see you disapprove of the dresses. Although I don't know why. They're really beautifully made, and the material is of an exceptional quality.
Yes, you're right.
Then why do you have such a long face?
Well, they're not exactly fashionable.
Huh? Not fashionable? Honestly, my child, I'm not going to have sleepless nights about that. And I've never been one for vanity, and for that reason you cannot expect me to give in to your silly ideas about dressing. If you look very closely, Anne, you'll see that they're very well made and practical. You'll have to wear them whether you think they're fashionable or not. The chances of your getting new dresses this year are slim. These dresses are perfect for school. On Sundays you may wear the satin dress. I made it specially for church and Sunday school. I hope you'll be careful not to get any of them dirty the first time around. And be careful they don't tear. I actually thought you'd be very grateful to have a few new dresses, Anne, rather than the excuse for a dress you're wearing at the moment.
Marilla, believe me, I'm really grateful. But it would have been nice if you had made one of the dresses with puff sleeves and frills around the neck and arms. At the moment, dresses with puff sleeves and frills are high fashion. I think even I could look attractive in a beautiful dress all done up with frills and things.
Well, you'll just have to forget about looking attractive, child. Unfortunately, I don't have enough material to cater for puff sleeves and frills, Anne. And besides, I think that people look rather silly with puff sleeves and frills. Little girls like you look so much better in dresses that are just plain and simple.
I don't need clothes to look plain and simple. I look plain and simple enough without any help. I would prefer to look silly like all the other girls who have frilly dresses.
You should really be ashamed of yourself, Anne. Please, be so kind as to hang the new dresses in your wardrobe. And when you've done that, you must start preparing for Sunday school. They will most certainly ask you questions, and I would prefer it if you knew the answers. And please, Anne, don't scribble over the pages.
Yes, Marilla.
You are old enough to know that first impressions are, more often than not, lasting impressions, so at least make an effort. Oh.
can I be so stupid? All the time I thought she was making me a beautiful white dress with puff sleeves and frills. I even prayed for a dress like that. But if I have to be honest, I didn't think that Marilla would make me one. I suppose we can't really expect the dear Lord to worry about the clothes little orphan girls like myself wear, can we? Marilla is the one responsible for making dresses, definitely not the dear Lord. Fortunately, I can always make believe that it is a snow-white silk dress with a wide skirt and beautiful frills round the collar and enormous puff sleeves. Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you still have a headache, Marilla?
Yes, dear, but don't you worry about that. I get them often. You'll just have to go to Sunday school without me, that's all.
Oh.
Since today is your first time, I wanted to take you there myself. Right now I feel simply dreadful.
What about you, Matthew?
Well, I'm...
Matthew hasn't been going to church for the past few years. He thinks it's unnecessary. He believes he can pray just as well at home as in church.
Well, that's quite true. I think it's a bad idea to send Anne by herself. It wouldn't do any harm if she didn't go.
Matthew Cuthbert, I wonder about you more and more. Today is Sunday, and on Sundays little girls should go to church.
I suppose I don't have any say in the matter. The idea of going alone is a bit scary. Maybe I'll be so fortunate as to make a few new friends.
Oh.
Are you still feeling bad?
Oh, that looks very beautiful. Here's 1 cent for the collection plate. You can join Mrs. Lindy for church, Anne. On Sunday, she normally waits for me down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Please promise me that you will behave yourself. Don't stare at people and don't be rude if they speak to you. Oh, how stupid of me. I almost forgot. There's a round box on the table in the living room. I bought you a new hat. Go and fetch it.
A brand new hat? Oh. The field looks so beautiful.
Where's Marilla? Only yesterday she specifically told me to be punctual because today's Anne's first day at Sunday school. Good morning. Would it be at all possible to give me a lift to church?
But of course.
Oh, thank you very much.
looks much better. Without the flowers, the hut would have looked quite dreary. Now I'll have to run to church even faster than the wind. Mrs. Lindy, it's Anne. I'm sorry that I'm a bit late. Look, I'm sure that's the little girl that was adopted by the Cuthberts. She's from the orphanage in Hopetown. Just look at her red hair. Apparently she has no manners. They say she insulted Mrs. Rachel Lindy. Yes, can you imagine? She yelled at her. Does she look hideous? She also behaves that way. Jerry Boo told me she talks to the trees and the flowers. Do you think she's a bit crazy? Oh, definitely. Her hat is already an indication of that. Anyone who goes to church in a hat like that can't be normal. Did you see all her freckles? Well, you couldn't exactly miss them. She looks like a stupid turkey. Oh, no!
Dear Lord, thou art the one in whom I believe, thou art the one in whom I trust. Thou hast spoken to us through thy Son. Thou hast spoken according to his word. Even in these times, thou speakest to me through the people I meet and through things that happen to me.
Over here.
She has no taste at all. You can say that again.
Dear Lord, thou art the one in whom I place my hope. Thou hast given us a new lease of life through thy Son's life, death, and resurrection, which give our lives meaning and direction. I pray that thou shalt forgive me and my fellow men. We ask for salvation and that one day we may be part of thy heavenly kingdom. Lord, I give myself over to thee. Do with me as thou wilt. Thou hast created me for thy purpose. I no longer want to think of myself. I wish to follow thee.
Thank you, dear Lord. Thank you for all that's beautiful. Thank you for the blue skies and the lake.
After the service, Anne went to Sunday school in Avonlea for the first time. Although she answered all the questions correctly, she could think of one thing only, namely that all the girls, except her, had beautiful dresses with puffed sleeves.
Are you at least a good cook? Can you sew? Yes, a little bit. Can you knit socks? You can't do much. My oldest sister can do anything.
Wish I had someone who would love to talk to me,
while away the hours, weave a garland with some flowers company. Who would care to dream of castles and maidens fair with floating hair? Why, oh, why must I be so alone on my own all my livelong days? How are you, dear Bonnie? Were you very bored while I was in Sunday school?
Back already, Anne?
Marilla, has your headache gone now?
Yes. So tell me, how was Sunday school? Did you like it?
It was absolutely horrible. I hated every moment.
Anne Shirley!
I did everything precisely as you told me, Marilla. Except I went to church alone because Mrs. Rachel Lindy didn't wait for me. All the girls stared at me and whispered behind their hands. Oh, and Mr. Bell's sermon was extremely boring. It was so bad that I almost fell asleep. Fortunately, I could see what was going on outside because I sat next to the window. I had the most beautiful view of the lake's crystal clear water. I spent the rest of the sermon just staring at the water and daydreaming of what I could have done.
Does that mean you didn't listen to anything and that you didn't join in with the prayers?
Why should I have listened, Marilla? He didn't speak to me at all. He just spoke to God the whole time. But do you know what? I made up my own prayer and I think it's much nicer. As the sunlight shone through the white birch trees and the yellow sunbeams danced on the silver water, everything outside shimmered and glittered like gold. It was then that I started praying. Thank you, dear Lord. Thank you very much for everything that is beautiful.
Oh, well, I can only hope you didn't say it out loud, Anne.
No, I think all I did was whisper. Please don't look so worried, Marilla. I promise I behaved myself.
Enough about church. How did you enjoy Sunday school, Anne?
There were many other girls in the class as well. They were all wearing pretty dresses with puffed sleeves. I tried to imagine that my dress had puffed sleeves too. The harder I tried, the more difficult it became. Why do you think it was so difficult? It was so easy to imagine that I had such a beautiful dress when I was all alone in my room. But in church I couldn't. With all the other girls in their Sunday dresses around me, I just couldn't do it, no matter how hard I tried.
I actually thought one went to Sunday school in order to learn something, and not to dream about puffed sleeves, child.
You're right. Mrs. Rogers asked me many questions. And although I had an answer ready every time, I believed the situation wasn't fair. I mean, only she got to ask questions, not me.
Hello, Anne.
Hello, Matthew.
And how was it? Did you make new friends?
No, it wasn't possible.
Oh, but why on earth not? This morning you decided that you were going to make new friends.
I did, but it didn't work out.
Oh, well, I'm sure it will happen soon, Anne. One doesn't make friends overnight.
That's true. Matthew's absolutely right. Real friendships take time to grow and develop, Anne.
Well, I never. Here comes that gossiping trout.
Matthew!
I'd rather go to my room.
Marilla, I heard that you weren't feeling too well, dear.
Yes, but I'm feeling much better now, thank you. Won't you come in, Rachel?
I must admit, Marilla, Anne really surprised me today. I couldn't believe that you actually allowed her to do that.
To do what? Tell me, did Anne do something wrong?
Her hat was covered all over with a whole lot of meadow flowers. I thought I was going to faint when she entered the church. She made quite a spectacle of herself. She looked absolutely awful.
Anne, did you decorate your hat with flowers?
Yes, I did, although I know that pink and yellow aren't exactly my best colours.
Please don't change the subject, Anne. Mrs. Lindy didn't mean the colour of the flowers. We are talking about the fact that you dared to decorate your hat with flowers.
I just can't understand why it's so bad to have flowers on your hat when you're allowed to wear them on your dress. Many of the girls had corsages pinned to their dresses. What's the difference?
Can you imagine what's going to happen now, Anne? People will talk behind my back because they'll believe that I did it. I won't tolerate it. I don't want to be laughed at. You should thank Mrs. Rachel Lindy for going to all the trouble to warn me about it. Carmody is a small town, Anne. Nothing goes unnoticed.
I'm sorry, Marilla. I can't tell you how sorry I am. But how could I have known that what I did was going to be so terrible? Many of the girls had a lot of artificial flowers on their hats. I really liked the wild roses and the buttercups. I thought they would look lovely on my hat. I thought people would like it. I wanted them to say nice things about me. I wanted you to be proud of me, but instead I've made the two of us look foolish. I think it would be best if you sent me back to the orphanage. It would be horrible. I don't think I could face the orphanage again, Marilla. After all this time, I'm still extremely skinny and pale and unattractive. In the orphanage, I would get even skinnier and paler and more unattractive. And
Stop your crazy talk, Anne. What absolute nonsense. What's wrong with you, child? Do you really think that I would send you back to the orphanage because of what you did? Anne, wait! Oh.
Goodbye, then.
Marilla, Jerry Boot told me something interesting yesterday. Diana Barry is coming back tomorrow. Would you like to tell Anne about it? Then at least she'll have something to cheer her up.
Matthew, you promised not to interfere with Anne's upbringing.
Yes, I know. But it suddenly struck me that Diana and Anne could become friends,
Life is stranger than any fiction. It's a story of woes and glorious episodes. We try to understand, but all in vain. For life unfolds in mysteries untold. How I wish a friend were near. I bless the day that she'd appear. Two hearts as one then, loneliness quite gone then, when friendship comes my way.
The big moment for which Anne had waited so long came the following day. She met Diana Barry. From the word go, they understood each other and promised to be friends forever. But more about that next time.